Hey everyone, this is Corey with Casual EDC, and today I'm bringing you my full review on the Berg Blades Iron Pup. So this is another knife that is going to be going up to Michael from Sharpened Blade. Appreciate, as always, letting me check these out. I do function now as his proxy from the US to Canada, so it is very kind of him to let me check all these knives out before he gets a hold of them. Carry them, use them, and in this case, which I'll get to, sharpen them. First things first, we're going to do some size comparisons, as this is going to be a full review of this. So I want to make sure I get that all taken care of. I'm going to bring in the Benchmade bug out on the bottom, and the 84mm Victorinox Cadet on top, switching up the order on you guys if you're regular viewers. So you can see that it is definitely a smaller EDC knife. Definitely not tiny though. It's bigger than the Victorinox, both in blade length and in handle length, but you're getting a little less handle than the bug out, although the overall grip area is essentially the same, using that forward finger choil, so keep that in mind. In terms of specs for this knife, first of all, steel on this is 20 CV. It's a titanium frame lock. Berg Blades is the designing company, and it's manufactured by We Knives. So you have a blade length here of, I'm looking at the thing. It says the cutting edge is 2.75 inches. So we're going to say the blade's about 3. Your overall length is 6.75 inches. It's a fairly small knife, as I said. Let me get the calipers out here so I can give you a better idea of the total blade length. This is not listed anywhere online, really, because this knife has been discontinued. But yeah, you're looking at like a 2.9 inch blade, roughly. So I'm taking my specs here off of Way of Knife's website. So they do a lot of knife modifications, but they don't have all the specs on their site. So you'll have to forgive me for that. Blade stock thickness of 0.156 inches. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but there is a nice hollow grind, so it does come to a thin edge. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Apologies, I just had to sneeze there. Sorry about that. This is running on bearings. It does have a hardened lock insert, as well as an over travel stop. Nice and smooth action. As I said, 20 CV blade steel. Handle length on this, also not listed on this website. I should have previewed these. Should have previewed the site before I went ahead and did this video, huh? So your overall handle length is 3.83 inches with a slightly larger grip area of roughly 4 inches. So 4 inches of usable grip area, including that forward finger choil, which is just the right size to get your finger in here without cutting yourself. So I appreciate that. Not too deep, not too shallow. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this knife, which is the usage as well as how it carries. So I'm going to start with how it carries first. This little knife here is weighing in at 3.56 ounces. So it's definitely over that ounce and inch limit that you would consider to be lightweight. Now, it doesn't carry poorly because it has these contoured scales. You can see there's contouring across there, and the only thing that's not contoured is the pocket clip, but the carbon fiber is, as well as both sides of the frame. Nicely chamfered edges all along the frame, as well as the interior edges have a slight chamfer to them, so there's no sharp spots really on this. And the pocket clip, these edges are fairly knocked down from a stonewashing, so it carries nicely in the pocket. Everything's very smooth, despite being a little bit on the heavier side for its size. It does kind of not disappear, but it does sit nicely in the pocket, and it's not obtrusive, despite being over that ounce and inch mark that lots of people like to stay under. Now for ergonomics, ergos are solid on this, especially choked up. The clip really is not a hot spot at all. Not really having any issues with that in use. Choked down, it's a little bit more of a hot spot right in this area, but I can't really see a time where I would want this knife to be a 3-finger knife. It's got the space to be a 4-finger knife. and it's much more comfortable in hand this way. You get the jimping in the back here, good spot for the thumb, and that is definitely preferred. It's definitely the preferred way for me to hold this, as well as I would expect many other people. So ergos, like I said, are solid. You can choke down if you want, but you're gonna have this pocket clip, this especially because it is the larger flared area of the clip. You're gonna feel that in your hand, so keep that in mind, especially if you have smaller hands. I have large size glove hands, so for me, being choked up like this is the best way to get a good grip on this knife. Now for performance, as he said, 0.156 inch thick stock, so definitely a little chunky on the blade stock, which you guys know that's something I really don't enjoy. I really prefer my knives to be thinned out everywhere, including the handle and the blade stock overall, and especially the grind. But what's nice is that these are coming in with a hollow grind, which hopefully you'll be able to see here. Yeah, you can get a good view of that. It thins out pretty decently towards this edge. It doesn't get crazy thin. I wish that the grind went further up than right here along this ridge, but at the same time, it does cut pretty well. It does thin out, and that hollow grind lets you get into material, and as you slice, it splits it apart, and then you have a swedge along the backside here that travels a large portion of the blade, essentially everything except this bottom quarter of the cutting edge. And that allows for nice cutting despite the thick blade stock and short grind overall. Now, this had some issues out of the box. And when I say some issues, it was really just one, and it's that this edge was dull. It was just not cutting. You could maybe cut paper with it before. It wasn't great for that, honestly, and for cardboard, it sometimes bit in, other times it would just kind of tear away at the cardboard and not really cut anything. I have some cardboard here that I can show you. I just sharpened this up so you can see now it bites. It's still not a super great edge. I just kind of slapped a 600 grit edge on this, but that's much better than it was. You can see you just reach that full thickness very quickly. So that is something to keep in mind. It cuts cardboard pretty well once it's in there. Just that initial bite that this knife had some trouble with. But new edge has gotten that a lot more improved, and I'm going to refine that edge a little bit more before I send this to Michael, because it's just not my best work. Certainly is a fairly even edge on here, but something that could definitely be sharper, much sharper here at the tip than it is at the heel. I can tell you that much just feeling this edge. The last thing I want to talk about here is action and deployment. So obviously you have thumb studs here. That is your only opening method. Some people, if you want, you can two-hand open this, but we're just going to talk about the thumb studs today. Very, very good thumb stud action. The detent is solid on this. I can maybe fail it if I try. Thumb studs are pretty easy to fail if you try, just by kind of dragging your hand along the blade. If I keep my thumb clear as well as my other side, though, it's pretty tough to fail it, which means the detent on this is pretty good. I mean, I can fail it, but it deploys most of the way. Yeah, so solid detent. And then I believe I already said it, this is on bearings, so it shakes shut nicely. And if you depress that lock bar, which you have plenty of access to, good lock bar access, it just drops right to the thumb and can just be flicked closed with a little bit of wrist action. The other thing is that there is enough room to get to that thumb stud with a middle finger flick, especially as you have the contouring. So you can see just how much that sticks up above the lock bar. Very easy to get back behind with your middle finger there. So really good action, really well built here by Wee, and a really cool design. It's an overall good looking knife with the carbon fiber and the titanium. I know they made full tie versions of this as well as micarta inlays. Not a knife for me, but certainly a cool knife, and a knife that will perform very well with good blade steel, good construction, great action, and pretty good carryability. So these are discontinued, as I said, so if you're going to be buying these, you're going to have to be on the lookout for somewhere that either still has them in stock, or you're going to have to find them on the secondary market. Other than that, yeah, there's not really much else to say about this. There is a full-size version called the Iron Wolf, which is much larger, I believe. So keep that in mind. I believe that might still be in production, but don't quote me on that. I don't really have anything else to say about this. It's a good knife. It's solidly built, great action, and I enjoyed carrying it. It's not a knife for me, but I did enjoy my time with it, and I will certainly touch this edge up even a little bit more before I get this out to Michael. So thank you all so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.